everyone, Linda Israel here, and I'm working on day 3 of 12 days of junk journal gift ideas. What I've got here in front of me is a piece of 12 by 12 scrapbook paper. I chose this because it was given to me and I didn't have a particular use for it in the future. And the other thing that I have here are a bunch of pieces of my gel prints and some book pages. I've also got my glue pot here, and I'm going to adhere all these pieces of paper to this 12 by 12 in the mixed media masterboard style. So I'm just going to fast forward through that. I'm just going to put all these papers down in random fashion, and then I will come back into the video and tell you what we're going to do next. I've attached the papers randomly all over this to cover it up, and there's a couple of empty spots here. I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes before I do the next step. But I have another piece of paper here. This was a piece of black cardstock that I had done some gel printing on, but I want to add some more to it. So I'm going to add what's left of my scraps here to collage part of the front of this. Is going to be my cover for a journal that I'm making. So I've just used my glue pot that is Aleene's tacky glue and a paintbrush and a little bit of water with some sponges. That just helps get this thing spread out really well. I'm going to let this dry as well, and then I'll come back and we'll start the next steps on my masterboard pieces that we're going to use for the mini junk journal. Okay, so I have trimmed off the edges, and this is the whole piece. But I also want to do some more embellishment to this. So I've got a little bit of some pink craft paint, and I'm going to put a little bit on my little paint palette here. I think it's almost empty, so I feel good about using up some of this paint. And I've got an old room key car, and I'm just going to grab a little bit of this paint on the room key car and just kind of randomly place some on this giant piece every once in a while. Alright, I'll set this aside to dry for a couple minutes, and I'm going to work on this piece, which is going to be my cover. The paint is dry, so the next thing I'm going to do is take a couple of rubber stamps. These stamps are from Beeline Design, and I have them in my shop. So what I'm going to do is use some black ink and stamp over this randomly. I'm not worried about the text that's in this postscript stance, because it's just going to be a background. I'm just going to stamp here and there, and I'm okay that if it doesn't come out really dark, because I just want it for texture. I'm going to add a few stamps onto the cover as well. I'm going to clean up my work surface so we can move on to the next step. Alright, so now that I've got this stamped, I've cleaned off my work surface, so it's just a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to take my paper cutter and I'm going to cut these into 3-inch strips. And while I have my paper cutter out, I'm going to cut this black cover piece into 3 1/4 inch strip. And I'll set this aside for a little bit later. So with these strips, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by folding them in half. And what we're going to do is make an accordion fold book. So I'm just going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to bring the sides up to the fold and crease that. I'll use my bone folder so that I get a good crease. I'm going to do that to all the pieces. Okay, so now I've got all these pieces, so we need to attach them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply glue on, you see the little accordion pieces here. This is going to be attached to the next accordion piece, and then we're going to attach the next one, and then the next one. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to close these up so that they become pockets. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue down the leading edge and across the bottom and a little bit up the back, leaving the top open where my thumb is. I'm going to take the next piece and line these up, pressing that, holding it in place for a moment. Depending on your paper, you may be able just to do this with your fingers and it'll be adhered. You may have to hold it together with some clips. If you take your time, you can pretty much work that out. So then, flipping this page back, I want to put a little adhesive right across here. And on the back side, and then close this, pressing it. I'm going to clean up any excess glue that leaks out. And I'm just going to keep repeating this process. So I want to add glue here and here, and I'm going to do that for all 4 of these pieces. See how it's starting to come together? I'll keep attaching the other pieces. So I got all the pages glued together, and you can kind of see how that looks as pages. So the next thing I need to do is determine my cover. I know that 3 1/4 is the height, but I need to mark how far over I need to score the cover piece. So I'm just going to use my paper cutter to help me with this. So the first part I know is going to be 3 1/4 because that's what I want the cover to be. So I'm just going to score this at 3 1/4. I'm going to use the book pages as a guide, and I think that if I use this portion right here as my guide, I can line that up, and then I'm going to score. And then I'm going to move this line all the way out to the 3 1/4 inch mark, and I'll cut off the excess. So now I'll take this cover, and where I've scored it, I'll fold those in. And in theory, this should fit right inside like that. So now all I got to do is glue the cover to the pages. You can choose to glue 3 sides and leave an opening. I'm going to go ahead and glue mine all the way down. So I'm just going to add glue all the way around. I'm going to make a little zigzag in the middle. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got it centered from top to bottom, that I have it centered with the spine. And then I'm going to press this into place. And then I will flip the book over, and we're going to add glue on this side. So there is my book. The top has pockets in each one of these, what I would call a signature. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I want to add another element on the front. So I have a piece of cardstock and a Calico Collage image. This is normally the size of an artist trading card, and when I print it on my computer, I just tell to print the whole page as a 5x7, and it reduces it down to the side. So I'm going to add some distress ink around both of these pieces. Now I'm going to adhere the image to the cardstock piece. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on it. I decided that this would be a great project, that you could use up those scraps of paper. There's no sewing involved, and it's just a cute little book that someone can carry around with them. You could add some affirmations to it that you love, or some little bitty images that you love. I've decided that I'm going to leave the inside blank, and I'm just going to add some little tags to the pockets. So I cut some tags. Some of these are 2 1/4 inch, and some of them are 2 1/2, because some of the pockets aren't going to be as wide as the others. And I just realized I've got to have these in the right order, or I'll be running out of tags. So it takes 7 tags. 3 of them are 2 1/2 inches wide by 3 inches tall, and 3 of them are 2 1/4 inches by 3 inches tall. I didn't put any strings on the tags, but that's what it looks like. So there's plenty of room to write on there, to add images, to add little notes. I just love the colors. I just think it's bright and cheery and fun. And then, like I said, the tags, they would just come right out. You could write on either side, add a photo. And I made another one as well. So here's another one that I made that's the same concept. It was just so different pieces of paper. Anyhow, I just thought this would be kind of fun to make. It's a mini journal. It didn't take very long to make. It would make a perfect gift. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Of course, check the description box below for links to the other people that are playing along in this challenge of making junk journal gifts for the first 12 days of December. So maybe you're inspired to make something for Christmas this year. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell at the top. And of course, if you have any questions or comments, use that comment box below. And again, if you would, share this video so others would find it and could be inspired as well. Thanks so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fabulous day. Love you lots. Bye.